Sorry about that. That was my child. But anyway, so what we have to do is call the governor's office. I Googled it. I did ask the representative what the number was. I hadn't seen a response yet, but I'm going to give you some numbers. And I'm going to put this in a little write-up on this live. So information for Texas callers, 1-800-843-5789. Again, 1-800-843-5789. The other number for information, referrals, and hotline. Information, referral, and opinions. So maybe this is the number we need. 512-463-1782. 512-463-1782. Information, referrals, and opinions hotline. Then they have this number, 512-463-2000. 512-463-2000. Office of Governor, main switchboard from 8 to 5. So, because this is what our representatives don't teach us. This is what our representatives don't teach us. One, all of them work for us. We don't work for them. Contrary to popular belief. And maybe there is some representatives that do think we work for them, but no, that ain't how it go. They work for us. That office up there in the Capitol, that's our office. We put the bill for them. That's the office we pay for them to do the work that we need done. And anytime you need to go to that office, you have the right to go to it because that's your office. Now, do that mean you could go up in there, sit in the desk and no. Come on now. Use your brain. But that is your office. And that is where you have the right to go in there, speak to their chief of staff or whatever, and let them know, hey, I need to speak to my representative. And since they represent us, we have a right and we have a responsibility to tell them what our issues that we are experiencing in our community, how we are being impacted about that, how it is impacting us. And then we have a duty and a responsibility to tell them how we need them to address it. And 3, they have a contractual and a lawful binding oath that they took that mandate them to go on that Senate floor or on that House floor and not speak what they want to speak, but speak what we tell them to speak, because they are what? A representative. And I'm on here getting this done and saying this and simplifying it and breaking it down in lay terms, because I think that is our issue and our problem in our vulnerable communities, is that we don't know. And that no one takes the time out to come to us in our communities and educate us about these things on a level that we have understanding for. And in Beaumont, we're going to have to drop it down low for people to understand. Not just Beaumont, all over the world, in all over the U.S. in vulnerable communities. So that is the number to call, those numbers. He did say, yes, call and say, we do not want our zone redirected, because if that happens, if y'all do gerrymandering on us, then we will lose representation on the Senate and the House. And although we may not be people that make a lot of money, we may not be people that own refineries, we may not be people that own businesses that bring in millions and billions of dollars, we may not be those people, but we are people that deserve the basic things that humans deserve. Which lead me to my another thing I want to talk about. I took that big long pause because I was actually praying. And I'm asking God and Holy Spirit to give me the words that I need to say to not offend people, but that my words be seasoned in a way that is effective for us to get an understanding of what we're really up against and what is going on between the different demographics that all have a right to be represented and a right to be supported, a right to live life fair. So one of the things that has happened that has actually backfired on white America is that we as a nation refuse to live in the very principles that spiritually and based on faith we claim to believe. We say that in order to receive Christ, or in order to be in favor and in the will of Christ, is that one, our God, Christ is the Son, God is the Father, is that one, we have to acknowledge our sin. And then two, we have to repent for our sin. And then three, we got to change the behavior. And then those three acts is what reposition us into our rightful place. I'll say it that way. With spirit, with God, with Christ. So, this feel heavy. This feel real heavy. I bind up the spirit of fear. I bind up the spirit of anxiety. And I loose the truth. So that we, as a people, can change the lenses and remove the scales off our eyes. And for anything or anyone that is contrary to the perfect love of God for all humanity, may whatever they think it, may whatever they desire it, may it go back to them triplefold. That's how I'm going to do that. So one of the things that is gotten us here is that because of the history that has taken place on this soil between the white and black relationship, or I'm going to say minority. And when I say minority, I'm going to go ahead, I'm speaking about blacks, but we are not the only ones, if you learn about history, that have suffered injustice on this soil. We may be the only ones who experience it the way we have experienced it, which was, enslavement on this soil. The selling of children and all of this, like all the stuff that we've been through. We may have been the only ones who've experienced that on here. But we ain't the only ones that experience injustice. So I'm going to say minority. And when I say minority, that represents everybody except the Caucasian race. So, and not to say that people in the Caucasian race have not experienced challenges and their own battle with moving ahead in life. I'm not speaking about an individual, from an individual standpoint. I'm speaking in a collective standpoint, okay? A collective community. And one of the things that we have not done is that we've been taught, or there's been this teaching without it being articulated and verbalized with words, is that one race is ahead of the other, which is all race mean. When you hear people say racism, are they racist? That's really not if you think about it, it's really not a bad word, because if you break the word race down, when you in the race, the goal is to get ahead and have everybody else behind. So in that sense, it is a bad word, because what comes with the word racist is that in order for one race to thrive and live and exist, it has to leave other ethnicities behind, and that's not the will of God. God say all is on the same level. The red, the white, the black, the yellow man, okay, the brown man, they all are on the same. And so when you hear somebody say, "Oh, you a racist," you're hearing somebody refer really to the system that has been set in place to keep Caucasian people ahead, or to keep Caucasian people from thinking and believing that they're different from any other race. I'm going to say that again. When you hear the word racism, that is referring to the fact that there has been a group in America, it is the Caucasian, that has been unspokenly trained to think that they are ahead of any other race. And that is something that man made and man instituted in the thought process of human beings. That is not what God instituted, and that is not what God created. What God said is that y'all one human race, and that I have created y'all differently as far as culture, as far as ways and things like that, but y'all are one. And if you are smart, and if you really love me, God, you would use your differences to help each other make up the lack of what, one may need. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm having to breathe through this. And because we have allowed that thinking to go on for so long without having not yelling matches, not abuse towards one another, but a real genuine conversation about the experiences that people feel and have as it relates to that issue. We fail to give place to that. We have failed to allow people who suffered the most to articulate that. And when they do speak up about it, we hear things like, oh, you need to get over that. That's the past. Well, why should we suffer for what our ancestors did? See, these are all words that indicate that inside that individual, there's some resistance. And as I said, hey, Miss Annette, as I said, in the will of God, you cannot have resistance. You have to do what? He said, become like a child to enter into his kingdom. So things could feel uncomfortable, but those that really, really love God, you got to be careful, because everybody that call on Jesus is not in his flock, in his fold. The people that we see that call themselves Christians, and they're like known to be like these nationalists or evangelical Christians, those are not the ones with Christ, the real Christ. Now, those may be the ones with white Jesus, and white Jesus is different, baby. Yes, it is. No, it's not. It's just a picture. It don't matter how he look. That don't matter. Who cares how he look? I just care about what it done for me. Well, you should care about how he look. Because if we serve a God that is a God of truth, then everything that is truth should be coming out. You're not speaking no truth, and you drawing this picture of this white Jesus for me, and then you showing me that everything is white is right. That's not truth. That's not even biblical teaching. And so it does matter that we speak truth to power. And it is truth that get people liberated and set free. And so those are two different kind of Christians. And the problem that we have is that we're not doing what we've been taught to do, which is acknowledge, repent, and turn to walk away. And so because we have, as a culture and as a community and as a nation, we have done a poor pitch job at holding white power structure and the people that benefit from it. We have not done a good job at holding them accountable and having them acknowledge that. Because we have not done that, and because they have not acknowledged it, what they have done was kept it going, and then caused everybody who did not walk around with brown skin, who can pass as white or can pass as white Latina, we have really, and the Asians, we have created this space where everybody have wanted white proximity without acknowledging the destruction and the oppression that it imposed on all people, including white poor people. This is why we see white poor people that depend on these services that the big beautiful bill is taking away. This is why in voting, they seen Trump and white power and or whatever they seen, and why they did not see the truth, which was, we about to cut off our lifeline. They didn't see that. They seen what society teach. We tired of support because it's this idea that only black people get subsidy. That is bullcorn. I know people who know people that do insurance. Them Asians be making money and they rig them systems and be making and having all these benefits and services and owning businesses. They the ones who mistreat it and misuse it. Black folk just be, the ones who ain't working, they probably really, really bound. In real reality, most of these women that's not working and I'm not excusing this, don't get me wrong, because we have to address this and do something about this. But if you want to put it in the clinical term, most of these mamas with all these kids, they have mental health issues. Because to have more than one child by several baby daddies, and no shade to nobody, I love all women, and but that is a form of mental problems going on right there. And it does bring on postpartum depression. So maybe these women is clinically depressed and not lazy, but so bound and so tired from the responsibilities, from the poor choices they make, that they can't even execute and live up to. And so what it did is just put them in what we call in mental health, freeze. You got freeze state, you got fight, and you got flight. And then you got fawn. Fawn is when you just stuck. Like, I'm just stuck in this place. And we all know that we see that in not just black community, but white community too. You see the person that's stuck on meth. No matter how many times they go to rehab, no matter how many times they stuck in the same poor behavior. But anyway, because we as Americans have contributed to this wrong thought process, this is how we got here. And so this is the result of it all, even to the working class. People work so that they could retire and have their benefits. And benefits supposed to be something that's given to you. But we all know that when you get older, what you work for ain't enough. We all know that when you get older, you need that not just that Medicare, you need that supplemental to help you get what you need when you get older, so that the family can support and take care of you in your old age. Those are programs that will be impacted. For all us business owners that done arrive and making a little something now, that still got a mama or a daddy or a grandma living. That went and cast that boat, worried about your tax benefits, instead of opening up that tax code book and getting the same benefits that was instituted for that president to have all them hotels and all these businesses and only pay $400. You're not going to convince me that it took no black person or nobody to go vote for this. No. You better off saying you just align with his, what they claim to represent as far as we're a devout Christian state. And let me tell you something. I don't trust no Christian that has been taught by any Christian that taught my ancestors about Jesus and about being saved and about being righteous and holy and about forgiving all my enemies for every time they slap me, beat me, rape me, hang my child, and then turn around and beat me and do all of this stuff to me. That is mental illness. That is mental illness, people. And when I look at as a collective, I only see one group of people really benefiting from forgiving sins. Let me rephrase that, because that could go real far and somebody can't, may not process that. Because we all need to be forgiven for our offenses, okay? We all need to forgive people for offenses. But somebody that keep on offending you and offending you, well, the Bible say if your neighbor slap you with both hands, let him slap you 17,000 more times. No, that is man-made stuff that been inserted in that to benefit a certain people. That's what that is. You're not going to tell me that God who loved me is all right with somebody abusing me. No. And I'm over you're not going to, because God, I know God. And I know him for real. And you're not going to convince me that my all-powerful God made me and just sent me here for somebody to mistreat me, for me to wait to go to heaven to be treated right. No, he sent me here so I could be treated right now, in this lifetime, in preparation, and when I get there, that good life is extended and it keep on going. He didn't know. My God could have kept me in heaven in his bosom. The hell, nah, that's hogwash. So we got to get out of this delusion that we've been in and we've been taught. And what's sad is that not just us delusion, but our own Caucasian sisters and brothers have been bamboozled. Did y'all see what's going on in, I might end up crying. Y'all see what's going on in that flood in Texas? Do you know that demographic alone right there in rural area, every last person over there voted for this stuff? They voted for these policies, so what you saying that happened because they voted? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they voted against policies that keep them and their children safe. It didn't just impact us, black folk, nigger folk, or whatever you want to call us. It impacted them. I heard one lady, they got her going around on social media saying, yeah, all our tax dollars ain't going, and all that welfare and all this and that, y'all sit, all of that, not knowing they gutting, she was needing them resources because she's in retirement. She able to walk around and do now, but it's finna come a day when she gonna need something to go with her retirement her medical retirement to help supplement. She forgot about that. She was gonna need somebody to come wipe her ass because her kids wasn't gonna do it. She forgot that in gutting all of these government programs, these were bureaucracies set in place to keep us safe. We need the Department of Environmental Justice. Department of Environment, or whatever they call it. We need that in place. That's how they track storms. That's how they're able to tell us when we in danger. But we've been so blinded. Our Caucasian people, sisters and brothers have been so blinded, and they've been taught that they so different than us that they fail to realize that they ain't different than us. And so now what has happened and what's going to happen is now they finna really be in the same boat we in. And the difference is black folk built for this. Our trauma and everything we survive is our superpower. Yeah, this is our superpower. You didn't know? Yeah. Yeah, it's our superpower. This is nothing new. But this gonna be new for them. They closing over 700 hospitals in rural area. Who live in rural areas? Not black folk. We live in the ghetto. We don't live in trailers like that. We go live in public housing projects. Which that's another thing finna be gone. So now y'all in the same, we in the same boat now. And God has been telling our people to change their heart, our sisters and brothers of the other races, to change your heart. Y'all looking down on black folk, y'all calling them lazy, calling them they need to just work. They lazy. Black folk ain't lazy. Black folk ain't start getting called lazy until slavery ended, when they couldn't get no free work on our ass. Okay? We are not lazy. Now, is there some of us that are sisters and brothers that's bound? Yeah. Have health issues? Yeah. Are men that come from war for fighting for this country that don't even respect them, come back with their minds gone? And they can't hold a job down? They lazy? Our mothers, black women who have genetically been programmed to be baby makers without having a daddy there to support them. That's what they call it, post-traumatic slave syndrome they living out. During slavery, we was put on plantations just to make babies. That's where the word mother effer come from. You didn't know that? Because you would put brown bags on our sons and make them have sex with us. Because if a woman was a breeder and she had them childbearing hips, and that man her son was something good and stocky and make good stock, they didn't care about that being you was going to do that incest, put a bag over it. That's why they get that word MF, which is why I'm not going to use it no more. Thank you, Lord. He said that's why you don't need to be cursing at all, but you don't need to be using that one on your people. Maybe, yeah, don't use that. Hey, sister. Hey, cousin. So, we people have got to do better with this voting and our representatives. It's been doing wrong. It's been done wrong. We've been letting people choose who they want to run. We need to be electing who we want to run. I put this out there. I think for the state of Texas, Jean Wu and Jasmine Crockett need to run for governor and lieutenant. I think so. I do. And I think that white Caucasian that live in these rural areas, I think they need to go to the father, who their father is, and ask their God, or who, they whatever, to help them get delivered from white entitlement and the delusion that they've been living in, because all these big billionaires, Trump and his boys, all they did was blow smoke up these people's ass. And they got him on ignorance. Most people that voted for him, the stats was uneducated people. Uneducated people. And yeah, uneducated people. Because anybody with education know that voting the way they voted and what's going to happen. I know black folk knew this was going to be the case. We knew. Trying to find. So I wanted to share this because I think we don't know this. In our communities, and this is just not black communities, it's any community, when you have a community of people that who society and government and paying citizens perceived to be good citizens, according to this book. I'm reading from this book, We the People. Okay, I just pulled, because I was reading when I found out about that gerrymandering. I just started reading some of the stuff in this political science class. This is not my thoughts. This is not my saying. This is from We the People. Okay, this is what they said. It said, when asked what makes a good citizen, the top reason mentioned by 75% of Americans is voting. So basically, they saying, and even to be considered somebody that should even have an opinion about what go on in society, first you need to vote. If you don't vote, shut the fuck up. Excuse my French. Shut the mess up. For reference, the next most common traits were paying taxes. 70% people said what make a good viable citizen is somebody that pay taxes. Okay, let me tell you what that look like. Let me translate that. If you sitting at home and you just collecting SSI off your children who have ADHD because you failed to bunker your behind down at your household and guide and raise your children to have a structure, and you just sitting around collecting SSI and you getting welfare checks, and you just living off Section 8 and getting food stamps, and you're not going to school so that you can purchase a home and you can get yourself in a pay bracket where you could buy your own and pay for your own Medicaid for you and your household, society feel and believe and say you're not a good citizen and you a problem, and they want to get rid of your resources because you sucking the life out of society. So let me repeat that again. What makes good citizens is voting. If you don't vote, shut up. Don't be one of these people that's on Medicaid and got to get all of these resources and you depend on them and you don't go take your butt out there to vote. Shut up. You ought to be the main one not crying when them letters get sent out saying, oh, you got 1 more year. You got 5 more months. Shut up. Because you didn't go vote. If you don't pay taxes, meaning you can't pay taxes if you don't go to work. If you sitting around making babies and when the oldest one get out, you go have another baby to ensure you get another check, or, could go and claim that this baby is messed up and slow and got all these problems. Shut up. Shut up. They don't want to hear from you. Society don't even acknowledge you. You are somebody considered, as far as society is concerned, what that man, what show was that when he say, you are beneath me? That's how society look at you. Look at us when we in that condition. And I'm going to say us because I come from these conditions. 69% says a good person that is considered a good citizen is somebody that follow the law. Somebody that ain't running around here breaking in people's houses. Somebody who kids ain't running around here doing kick doors. Somebody who mama ain't running around here stealing clothes and doing credit card scams and hot checks. Somebody who daddy ain't running around here selling dope. And somebody who daddy ain't out here pimping women, pimping and pandering to make money. People, that's who they consider to be the people that don't do those things is considered to be good citizens. People who not running around here making meth labs in trailers in rural areas. Those people, they consider them people the low of the, like you're beneath me. That's how society look at us. And 61% say serving on jury. So if we get a letter in the mail, which I have, and they want you to serve jury duty, do that. Now, me personally, I think there's certain things they probably wouldn't want me to serve jury duty on. Till I don't know. But serving jury duty. Because it is important. I mean, now I'm a start, like, because, it is the everyday man that can identify with everyday people, and everyday people are the one who be on trial. Another 61% says what also makes you a good citizen is respecting the opinions of others who disagree with you. Respecting them. Not feeling like just because you are part of the LGBT community that you should be, dying and can't get medical care. Like, respect. If you feel like as a Christian or a believer, God is all powerful. God deal with people based on their moral treatment. Then let God deal with that. In the meantime, you just work on treating them like a human being that deserves to be treated like a human being. That's what you do, because that's what God gonna hold you accountable to do. So those is what make people in society valuable. And if we not doing that, then we're not operating to our fullest potential as being viable and valuable citizens. Oh, and another thing, us mothers that be on them Section 8, let me tell y'all something. And living in them what they call that, low income develop, we call them projects where I was from, low development housing, and I grew up in them. The reason why society don't really do much for them is because, and this is why civil rights and all of this stuff is important, because throughout society you have seen where Black folk have been denied access to purchasing home. But get our credit in order, them people look at credit, they ain't worried about, you do that over the phone. They ain't even, you got to see your face, when people, this is why it's important to become a homeowner. When you own a home, no matter where you live, you are considered a member of that community. You are considered an investor in that community. You are considered somebody who has a foot in the game in that community. Why? Because you own a home, and when you own a home, you pay taxes. And when you pay taxes, it is tax dollars. That's why you always hear people, I pay all my taxes I'm tired of paying for them to sit on their ass. And that's why you hear that, because tax dollars is what generate the income to keep any city going and moving and thriving. And so when you go in these rural areas, let's be very clear. A rural area is equivalent to the ghetto. A rural area is just the white and the Black community is the ghetto. So when they see that you're not having those things invested into the community, you don't exist to them. And so this is the part that they didn't teach us. This is the part that we're not educated about. This is the part that we got to get educated about. Mothers, them Section 8 programs have programs for you to purchase a home. Clean the credit and seek getting a home. They may not tell you this, but it is. Get with a real estate agent. Get into home ownership if you can. Okay? I gotta go because my daughter just called me. So let me sum this up. Gerrymandering is taking place in various states, Texas being one of them. There are 4 seats in Texas that is trying to be worked on, taken. So if they take those 4 seats, vulnerable communities, minorities, anybody that's not a billionaire or a millionaire, let me say it like that. Anybody that's not a millionaire or billionaire will not be represented. That's what the purpose of that's for, okay? So call Governor Abbott's office and tell them that you don't want your zone redistrict. I think we all, rural areas too, we all need to maybe ask our representative to rent a bus and take us all up there. And we could all, have our petition signed. Maybe that's what it's going to take. I don't know. Y'all tell me. I don't know. Number 2, become a viable citizen that society respect. According to We the People, that is vote. Okay? Go get you order your ID. Okay? Order your ID and register to vote. You have a voting address. The next one, pay taxes. Get a job. Quit living off SSI checks for your kids and saying something wrong with them when you just fail to be a good parent and a parent that teach discipline and boundaries, okay? And letting them run wild. Don't commit crimes. Don't be breaking no laws. Work to make your money. And serve on the jury when you get a notice, and respect other people's opinion. Quit feeling like just because they ain't got the same religion and believe the same religious system you believe that they ain't worth helping and they get all the misfortune that comes to them. No. Okay? Love y'all. Bye.